Yes, them have the heart of a pagan. The children have the heart of a lion, I know. Evil a move with Satan. Righteous trod in the countenance of the Almighty One. Them have the heart of demons. The children have the heart of a lion, I know. Evil a move with Satan. Righteous walk in the countenance of the Almighty One. Good people see hostility rising daily.
Also, to let you know, we have a prison program in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. The number for that program is 240-701-4825. Once again, the phone number for the prison program in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge is 240-701-4825. You can also reach that brother on his email. It's going to be kathamgabar@yahoo.com. KATHAMGABAR@yahoo.com. Once again, you tune the lives of the priest and prophets of the Most High Power from the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, coming out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Once again, I want to say shalom, which means peace to everybody in the WPB 88.1 FM area, the listeners. To all the so-called black, Hispanic, Native Indians, you make up the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And today we're going to talk about Christ. A lot of people talk about Christ and say, well, he wasn't really a man on the earth, or he was just somebody who was insignificant. He wasn't really of no importance. But we're going to show you the importance of Christ and what he came up against. And that the rulers of that time of Jerusalem, the people who ruled us during that time, even though it was under the Romans, they knew the importance of Christ, and we're going to bring it out today. Just like the rulers of today know the importance of what we teach. You understand? And the same plot that was hatched back then, they try to hatch now. But you can't stop what the Lord got planned for his people. Who are his people? Them 12 tribes. Who are them 12 tribes? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. With that being said, we're going to start with a book. Before we get into any scripture, we're going to start with a book. And the name of this book is going to be called An Introduction to Medieval Europe from 300 AD to 1500 AD. And Quadazar, which will be page 28, right? You're going to start with it says, thus when at Jerusalem. And you're going to read and see what they said about our King Christ. Let me tell you something. For people who want to say that Christ was someone who was like really insignificant, that is not true. Or for people who say that Christ did not exist, they disrespect him and say JC and all the different things. Let me tell you something. The people of that time, them rulers, they knew the importance of Christ. They knew what he was teaching and who it came for and who it was meant for. Now, with that being said, read for him, brother. Tell him where you're at.
I'm reading from the Medieval Europe, page 228. Thus, when at Jerusalem, he was first publicly proclaimed as the inaugurator.
What that means is, the beginning. Inaugurate. He started this thing. This is inauguration. Go ahead.
Of the expected new era.
Of the expected new era. Why say a new era? Because during this time, when Christ came, we was waiting for the Messiah to come. You understand? To get us out of captivity. What captivity were we living at this time? It was a captivity under the Romans. Yeah, we was in Jerusalem, but we was under Roman rule. You understand? They ruled Judea. Herod the Great started it, and his family line carried it on. Pontius Pilate was the governor at the time of Christ when he died. Read.
It was inevitable that he should be looked upon by the authorities.
By the who?
Authorities.
What authorities is they talking about?
It was inevitable.
And who authorities are they talking about? They're talking about the Roman authorities.
By the who?
And the authorities that ruled our people. Who are they? The Pharisees and Sadducees. You understand? The Pharisees and Sadducees.
That ruled our people.
You understand?
The Pharisees and Sadducees.
To equate that to this time, it would be your political leaders, your spiritual leaders. You understand? Read.
as a dangerous and fanatical revolutionist.
As a what?
Dangerous and fanatical revolutionist.
Let me say something. It says as a dangerous and fanatical revolutionist. Why did it say that? Because what Christ taught was revolutionary. You understand? And it was going against the well-ordered thing that was established. What well-ordered thing was established? That Roman rule that was over top of us. The Romans at the time appointed leaders for us. You understand that? They appointed leaders who was going to be the ones who was going to govern us. They appointed the high priests. They put them in place.
Right.
They did that. We didn't do it. The Lord didn't do it, but the Romans did it. And Christ came to mess up that order. He came to disrupt it. You understand? To destroy the whole thing. Read it one more time from the top.
Thus, when at Jerusalem he was first publicly proclaimed as the inaugurator of the expected new era, it was inevitable that he should be looked upon by the authorities as a dangerous and fanatical revolutionist.
Let me tell you something. Dangerous. Why? Because what he's teaching was stirring the people up. You understand? Stirring them up against that rule that was on top of them. Let me say this to you. Them Pharisees and Sadducees, they do this. They knew if they didn't stop him, that they was going to lose their seat and power. You understand? That the Romans were going to take away their power. Much like today. People don't like to see the Israelite school YAHANNA in the streets teaching. Bringing forth the truth. Staring down and tearing down all these lies out here. Why? Because it's going to unite the so-called 12 tribes. Not so-called, but unite the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Indians, who are the 12 tribes, and bring them back together again. And once that happens, it's going to disrupt the world order of things. Same thing that Christ taught. Same exact thing. Now, with that being said, let's go into the Bible. Let's go into the Bible to prove what they wrote in history is the truth. And that our leaders at the time, they knew it to be the truth. Give me the book of John, the 11th chapter. Give me John 11, verse 47. You got it, Quadazai? Come. Sit right there waiting for me, huh?
Come.
Most High in Christ. Give me John 11 and 47. Start there, Quadazai.
John chapter 11, verse 47. Then gathered the chief priests.
Then gathered who?
The chief priests.
Now the chief priests gathered. You understand that? These are the chief priests. These are the ones who ran Israel. You understand that? They're the ones who were the governing body for Israel. And these are the ones who the Romans put in power. So now, with that being said, they got together. Go ahead.
And the Pharisees a council.
And the what?
Pharisees a council.
They had a good old council. You understand? They had a good old council. Go ahead.
And said, what do we? For this man do many miracles.
Say it again.
For what do we? For this man do many miracles.
He's talking about Christ. He do many miracles. He was doing miracles at the time. And let me tell you something. They see him doing the miracles, and the people was believing on him because of the miracles. You understand that? Go ahead.
Verse 48. If we let him thus alone.
If we do what?
Let him thus alone.
Yeah, they leave Christ alone. All the healing he's doing to the people. You understand? Getting them right. Getting them demons out of them. Casting them demons out of them. Getting them right. You understand that? Let me tell you something. That's much like what we do. We for sure know how to cast out demons out of brothers and sisters. How to get their lives right and get them back on track. You understand? Go ahead.
All men will believe on him.
Say it again.
All men will believe on him.
Christ alone, all men won't believe on him. So they saw him as a threat.
Right.
You understand? That's why that book said that. That's why that book said he was a dangerous, fanatical revolutionary.
Right.
That's why I said it. And that's why you see brothers nowadays who got the same spirit as Christ and them 12 had right now today in the earth. Ain't no wonder who his prophets are. You see him in the streets when they teaching all the time. You understand that? You see him on the streets teaching. They got the same spirit that Christ had. You understand? Read 48 from the top again.
Come. Verse 48. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him.
Go ahead.
And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation.
Let me tell you, did they care about the people? No, they didn't care about the people. They didn't care about what was going on with black, Hispanics, Native Indians. They could care less. They cared about that money. That position of power, getting rich. Corruption. People fearing them. You understand? That's all they cared about.
Right.
Because the Romans, and let me tell you something. Why would the Romans come take away their place? Because the Romans put them there in the first place. They were not the people who the Lord chose to run this nation, but the Romans placed them there. Now, let's fast forward that to 2014. To 2014. And look at the so-called leaders of blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. Who out there helping the people? Healing the people, getting them off these drugs, getting them right in the Lord. Who doing it? I don't see nobody doing it but the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, under Commander General YAHANNA. No one else is doing it out here on earth. You understand that? Nobody. And with that being said, now you know and you see that same spirit that was on them Pharisees and Sadducees and them chief priests is the same spirit today on our so-called leaders. The same spirit. It's the same thing. What you would call reincarnation. They back on earth doing the same thing they did. They were doing it back during the time of Christ, they're doing it right now. The prophets of the Lord were back during the time of Christ, they're back here doing it now. You understand? Let me tell you this. And they didn't want to get rid of that money. They was getting paid from the Romans and the people. You know that, right? They was getting money.
Right.
I mean, money. You understand? Much like your leaders today. They getting paid. But I say this to you. Why they getting all this money? I look outside. I look in West Philly and Southwest Philly, and you can take this all over this country. And you know what I see? Burned down buildings. Dilapidated buildings. Buildings crumbling.
Right.
You understand that? While our rich leaders getting richer, we still in the ghetto living poor.
Right.
Same thing going on back then. That's why he said Christ was a revolutionary. You know what I mean? Out to set the world order. That he was out to upset it. It's right, he was out to upset it. Because that was the mission from the Father. He was taking that power seat for the ones who failed at the job. So now you know what we doing on the streets too. You understand that? And setting the order that the Lord wants on this earth. With that being said, go to Matthew 8 verse 19. Bible quiet, get Matthew 8:19. Carlos, you stay right where you at. Stay right where you at, because we got some more we want to bring out. You understand? And we're going to further prove the threat. Let me tell you something. During this time, they saw Christ, and they knew that Christ was the threat. Even Christ was getting their own to turn on them. He was getting people that was down with the Pharisees and Sadducees to come and believe him and follow him. Here's the proof. Read.
Matthew chapter 8. Verse 19.
Go ahead.
And a certain scribe came and said unto him,
Go ahead.
Master, I will follow thee, whithersoever thou goest.
A certain who?
A certain scribe.
A certain scribe. I mean, this cat was down with the Pharisees and Sadducees. He was their scribe, writing and recording everything. He was down with them. But he heard Christ and heard what he was teaching and said, you know what? He got the truth. You know what? I'm going to follow him now. I'm going to change my life and do what he say do. That's why he called him master. Read it again from the top.
Matthew 8 verse 19. And a certain scribe came and said unto him, Master, I will follow thee, whithersoever thou goest. And Yahushua said unto him, the foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man have not where to lay his head.
What was Christ saying to this man? He said he wanted to follow. He could let them know, listen, I have nowhere to sleep. You understand? I'm not out here laying up in a big mansion house, living comfortably. I'm not doing that. He said the foxes got holes and the birds got nests. Meaning these animals got a place to lay their head where they feel secure. I don't. You understand? And let me tell you something. Let me say this to you. When you come and follow Christ, you should know and understand to put this in your spirit. You should be worrying about having big old condos and condominiums and all that old kind of stuff and wealth and money. That was the problem with the Pharisees and Sadducees. Our king didn't have those things. He rejected those things. He rejected those things. But was down in the ghetto teaching them tribes. Blacks, Hispanics.
Yes, them have the heart of a pagan. The children have the heart of a lion, I know. Evil a move with Satan. Righteous treading the countenance of the Almighty One. Them have the heart of demons. The children have the heart of a lion, I know. Evil a move with Satan. Righteous walk in the countenance of the Almighty One. Poor people see hostility rising daily. Ignorant multiply brutality. We I see daddy run gone left mommy. Fi struggle the hard road with fight beginning. Our I see baby having baby.